What up, YouTube? This is Daniel Rucker with True Table. Welcome to the table. Today, I'm going to be discussing something that I believe needs to start being adopted by most guys. Why? Why do I believe this? I believe it because you know what, people? Life is all about cause and effect. Cause and effect. For every action, there is an equal or greater reaction. But before we get into that, go ahead and hit the like button. Go ahead and subscribe. You know it does wonders for your boy's self-esteem. You know, that's what keeps me motivated, keep doing this. I appreciate you. And I continue to bring this content because I do believe that there just needs to be some real discussions happening. You know, on top of hobbies and sports and whatnot. We need to be discussing humanistic issues. We need to be discussing things that are occurring in the space that is the manosphere, the space that is dating, relationships, communication, and all that collectively. So that's what I'm here for. So you guys know what I do on this channel. You know why I'm here. You know what it is. Here, I get cooking. That's what I'm going to do. So, without further ado, fellas, one thing that needs to happen, and it needs to happen fast, is every man, and yes, I mean every man, needs to start to understand that his job, on top of many things he's responsible for, is to create a program, a standard, in creeds, in boundaries, in rules that he lives by. You know, one thing that I liked about the John Wick series, outside of some of the corny acting, because it was some corny acting, was that these were assassins. These were people who were trained killers. They were on this earth and their job was to take people out. That's what it was, you know, and they were professionals. But even with their savage-like behavior, they have rules, they have bylaws, they had things that they created a practice of sorts that even with their vastness of skill set, they only participated in the act of killing within certain parameters. I believe you could not conduct business if you were at that location, the hotel where Keanu Reeves would go and at the bar and all that. You couldn't conduct those dealings at that location. So there was parameters. And why is that important? Why am I bringing that up as an example? Because I believe as a man, that's how you have to look at your life. You have to understand that you as a person have to operate within your own limitations and own boundaries. It is the only way you're going to maximize full potential. It is the only way that you're going to be able to be your absolute best. It's one key word, and that is discipline. That discipline is necessary for the maximum application of a man, the maximum ability of a man to come forth. See, a man is not someone who has muscles. A man is not someone who stands at a certain stature or has a deep voice or has facial hair. No. A man is someone that understands the vastness of his ability, the purpose of his function, and how to best execute those recognized things. He has a mission, he has a purpose, he has discipline, and his job and his focus is to make sure that he is both efficient and beneficial every day that he's on this earth, right? Now, why am I bringing this up? Why am I laying the foundation in this sense? I'm laying it because the one thing that gets most, if not all men, off their focus, their mission, their drive is women. That's what it is. Now, there's nothing wrong with women. There's nothing wrong with having an affection, a desire, an appetite for women. Nothing wrong with that. It is our natural instinct as men to want to interact, participate in practices that have women involved, right? The problem is that so many guys do not know how to do this correctly. So many men do not understand that your position, your interaction, your practice, your participation in her life, for however brief or however long, teaches her how to go on and treat the next man and act with the next man. See, a lot of times when in my dating career, I often talk about this on the channel. In my dating career, as I call it, I would interact with young ladies. And it was easy for me to identify very early on how much she lacked or how much she was aware of sorts, right? And one thing that would stand out was how effective the parenting style was of her parents. If she was someone that was parented correctly, usually there was characteristics about her that allowed for our interaction to be very pleasant. She was considerate. She was selfless. She was feminine. She was caring, and all of the good characteristics that I believe should exist in most women, right? And on the contrary, if she had crappy parenting or lacked parenting or direction, she was selfish, bratty, impatient, inconsiderate, and all of the negative components of her. Now, why am I framing this way? I'm framing it this way because a lot of times the latter characteristics, the brattiness and the selfishness and all of those things, seem to somehow, some way, coincidentally exist with some of the most beautiful women. And it's not in all cases, but it's in a lot of cases. And see, the problem is that I was talking to my friend about this last night. I was saying, what allowed me as a man to shake off the illusion that is the beauty of a woman was me traveling abroad. Me traveling abroad, I left the country at 13 for the first time. Spent the summer in Europe. And I fell in love with traveling. But on top of being in different cultures, on top of being, immersed in other customs and whatnot, when I got to an age to where I started actually being interested in women from a long-term serious relationship basis, which was later on after I joined the military and traveled, because I fell in love with traveling. So I went to the Navy and however, story for another time. But anyway, that allowed me to travel the world. And in a lot of those interactions, I always had a clear understanding, at least assumed understanding, that me as a man who felt he was important should be treated a certain way. That there should be women who should be lucky, if not blessed, to interact with me and treat me accordingly. Well, that wasn't always the case here in America. And it definitely wasn't always the case, when I was in California. But my point is that traveling, when I was telling my friend, was that what that allowed me to do is interact with international women. I went to like 14 countries, give or take. And I interacted with all types of women. I'm the same dude, but I had different experiences. So what that did for me for the 4 years that I was traveling is when I came back to the States, I grew to understand that the way women, in my opinion, should treat men should be more aligned with what I was experiencing abroad, because it was pleasant interactions. These women were interested in spending time with you just from the fact that you were willing to spend time with them. It wasn't you offering these lavish dates or, picking her up in a fancy car. It wasn't about all of that. Matter of fact, most of those women would travel by train or even bus or taxi or whatever form of transportation. But the point of what I'm trying to say is that it gave me a different perspective. And it allowed me to start to build my own. I already had standards. These just reinforce those standards. And that's what I believe is missing with so many guys, is that most guys spend their life, in my opinion, wanting to date the prom queen. I did a broadcast on this on my channel. Go ahead and check it out when you get a chance. And what I meant by saying every guy wants to date the prom queen is that men have this, we're visual creatures. We want the hottest girl. The hottest girl to us, whatever that may be. We want the girl that makes, in a sense, the world stop. We want to be able to look at a woman and be like, wow, she's beautiful. And pursue, right? The problem is that a lot of guys want that, but settle for what is convenient at the time, or settle for what they believe at their time in life where they're maybe most insecure, or maybe making the least amount of money, or maybe, anyway, what I was explaining to my friend was that because I had so many experiences dating these women, right, abroad as well as in the States when I came home, the illusion that is the experience dating a pretty girl is going to be better became the standard, meaning these women weren't out of my reach. They weren't out of my norm. So it became standard. It became normal. And what that did for me is, one, it helped me to wipe the glitter or whatever out of my eyes, the illusion that they put on the fact that, you know, a prettier girl is going to be a better experience. A prettier girl is going to be a better sexual experience. A prettier girl is going to somehow, some way make your life better. I'm here to tell you, fellas, that's nonsense. And more guys need to, in my opinion, I told them, if most guys got the opportunity to date 2 to 3 hot girls, like baddies, I believe that if they're wise enough, they'll start to be able to understand that no matter how gorgeous or no matter how not as gorgeous or not as cute she is, guess what? She's still a woman. Like the experience on that side is not any different. It's all on what you created to be. It's all on what you place a value on, you know. And so what that allowed me to understand was that it no longer became about how pretty she was solely. I've always been a person that was intentional when it came to the exchange, the interaction. So pretty would get my attention. Pretty would make me pursue. But your attitude would make me stay. The way you acted would make me want to, you know, dig deeper. And I see so many guys that are willing to, you know, to punk out pretty much, depending on how hot she is. I see so many guys that are willing to shell out money and shell out, you know, energy or shell out effort, all because the girl is just a little bit prettier than what most girls look like. Or somehow, some way they build some level of validation behind the fact that she's attractive. F that. Guys need, like, and that's what I was saying with the experience. And I was saying that, you know, it's unfortunate because it's kind of like having a really, really nice car. You know, when you pull up in a, you know, a Porsche or a Ferrari or, you know, something nice, you know, particularly sports cars, you know, guys like sports cars, you get a lot of attention from guys, from girls. But the attention I'm saying is in the sense that people pay attention. Guys will see you at the gas station and be like, hey man, that was a nice car. Like, you know, give you the dap or give you the, you know, the salute. And it's the same thing with a pretty woman on your arm. They see you with a pretty woman, it gives some level of social currency of value. Now I understand it. I understand that. Trust me, I understand it. Because I bought into the illusion for a while too. But the one thing I never did is I never sold myself out to my standard. And that's what this whole broadcast is about. See, I wasn't willing to sell my standard for the fact that she was attractive. I didn't care if she was attractive. I didn't care if she was gorgeous. She's going to act a certain way. She's going to treat me a certain way. And therein lies my point, you know, before I finish up this broadcast, is that men need to create a creed. Men need to create practices. Men need to have boundaries and standards that they live by. That if I'm going to interact with a woman, this is what I'm willing to do, but she's going to have to act accordingly. She's going to have to treat me in a manner that is to my standard. One of the sayings I have is that I'm never going to allow anybody to treat me worse than I treat me. And that is a standard for me. And it's the same with women. No woman is ever going to come into my life and treat me worse than I treat me. And I treat me pretty darn good. So she has her work cut out for her, right? And that's what I want from my fellas. I want men to start to self-assess, sit back and look at your life and start to place certain levels of entry. These women should be working for compliments, gentlemen. These women should be working for your attention, gentlemen. You shouldn't be so easy to just give away your attention, your time, your resources, your ideas, your energy. Because what you're doing is you're essentially creating the very narrative in the attitudes that is existent in the current day dating market for the entitled women that you see come across these screens. It needs to stop. And I'm holding you men personally accountable. One thing I do on this channel is accountability is breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's what we do. I hold everybody accountable. Myself, you, women, children, don't matter. People collectively. Accountability. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. You know, before we go into the weekend, I wanted to give you men something to think about, something to chew on. If you call yourself a man, then you should have a creed. You should have values, bylaws, and standards you live by. And they should be exceptional. They shouldn't be low level. They shouldn't be these, basic dang things. They should be standards of excellence. Men should want to model their life after you. Women should want to sleep with you. And if that's not occurring, you got work to do. But that's all I'm going to say on the topic today. This is Daniel Rucker with True Table. We'll go ahead and slide out the kitchen. It's getting a little hot in here. Go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe. I appreciate it. For those who've been rocking with me, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And I'm going to continue to bring this content. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy the rest of your day. And until next time.